talking about private universities and we are talking about public universities. We see here that, okay, if the student in Marthale is unable to afford the 60,000 that he requires for the MBBS, oh my God, yes, the university will come and offer a scholarship to them. But how many scholarships are you planning to offer? If there are 15,000 students, or let's say there are 10,000 million students who are below the poverty level and they want to enter the private university, is the honorable private institution going to offer scholarships to all 1 million students?
So are you to say, sister, that the government is producing enough degrees and enough employees to the country?
Sir, we believe that according to the current situation, given the fact that the government needs, what we are saying is the government needs more funding. We need more investment. We need to open up our system. So if we believe that the country is not meeting the demands of the job market, then what should be done is we should increase and we should open up the public system. But that does not mean that the solution lies in promoting private universities.
A leading economics stated that nearly 10,000 students leave out of the country per annum. You stated that nearly 6 billion money is spent on one student. So just imagine 10,000 students leaving the country per annum. Just imagine the money we are losing. Foreign exchange.
Don't you think that the private universities coming inside will decrease by providing opportunity, it will cut down the cutthroat competition that prevails in the A-level system now?
And also, sister, Sri Lanka doesn't produce enough doctors recommended according to the state medical sector. The doctor population ratio is not met over for 10 years. So what are your comments on this?
And you said when education is private, they are not socially responsible though. So what about the international schools that we have? Does that mean that they are not socially responsible?
Okay, and the first speaker mentioned that education must be available to all. Yeah, but when it comes to social education, it's not happening that way.
Don't you think that the scandal in the A-level marking scheme itself is due to the monopoly we find in state universities?
I have with me Lice International School, Nugegoda, and Shavinta here was a part of the team. He was a reserve. And Shavinta, tell me, what are your feelings about the performance of your team today? Were you happy with them? Did they have room for improvement?
Yes, indeed, I was very happy, and I think that they could improve further. But still, I think that they did a very great job, and I think all of the speakers performed their duty really well, and I think that we do have a chance of winning this time.
Yes, and moving on to Hashindra. Hashindra, what do you think about the performance of your opposition, Sahira College Marthale? How would you see them?
They did try their best. They were doing their job very well. They brought our points and our team also did bring our points. But still, our pro team was somewhat good and they were also good. So their team is like giving a good fight to Lyceum.
And in your mindset, you weren't very clear. How confident are you that Lyceum will be able to walk away?
Very confident, very confident. I believe in my team. They are the best.
Thank you, Hashindra. And I have Atif with me from Sahira College Marthale. Atif, tell me, how do you think the debate went? Was it in your favor? How strong was your team?
Yeah, it's not the battle which is going here. It's the game which we are going to enjoy. Yeah, our team did well here. And we hope the best we can make it.
And what do you think of Lice International School in Nugegoda?
Yeah, obviously they too a good team and we give up the shot.
We're ready to take an extremely short commercial break. Stay tuned in for the closing statement. Welcome back. We're ready to move on to the closing statements. This will be the last and final opportunity that both the proposition and the opposition will receive to prove their point. And this might be the last and final chance that you will get to see some of these debaters in action. Opposition, over to you.
Hey, I'm Hasita and I'm the fourth speaker from Lyceum. And whatever happens at the end of the day, we hope to enjoy ourselves. So mainly moving on to the clash points that we have considered. Firstly, the greater demand and the lack of access in public schools, where we say that this will not be solved by private universities being introduced, due to the fact that anyway the access will be the same, considering the fact that Sri Lanka is a developing country and most of the country will not be able to access it anyways due to a financial aspect. And their so-called 80% will be a majority of this condition, people who cannot afford this. So we believe that the access point is not valid. And moving on to the fact that the government can afford the expansion and the improving of standards of public universities, due to considering the fact that consider the national security budget. 90% of the gross income is put into a national security budget, and we believe that according to current situation due to the war being ended, we believe that this income should be spread out into the university sector itself, as currently it is being spread out in the primary and secondary sectors. Why not the university sector itself? Then moving on to the competition created by the private universities. Firstly, let me point out that the Honourable Proposition has not provided us with a proper solution as to how they are going to set up these private universities itself. And next, they made a major case shift in the rapid fire round and said that they are going to consider only SL degrees. Great. But what we are saying is they did not state at the start. Then the public sector also, about competition, public sector also doesn't have any incentive to go against the private sector, and therefore there will be no competition. And the private sectors will be compromising with their cost and qualities. So on all these bases, we say that this will not work. The quality and standards will also be decreased. Consider the private sectors, private hospitals, considering their bad qualities, considering a major system of bad qualities itself, with good qualities input into it. So we consider that private sectors will not ensure that there will be good quality systems itself. Then the public. So considering all these facts, we believe that private institutions, private universities should not be established. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Altaf Shafir. I am the fourth speaker of Zahira College Mathale, and we are here to give it to our maximum potential. Let me come up with a simple answer to most of your questions, my dear friend. Yes, we are not talking about demolishing the state universities and bringing in private universities. We are talking about the coexistence of state universities and private universities. What about marine engineering? Being an island, we don't produce marine engineers. A profession in demand, aircraft engineer, like my friend said. We have millions of opportunities to them. And what about the heaps and heaps of students left behind? 84% of the students are left behind who are desperate to get their higher education, my dear friends. And you might know better, international schools coming up like mushrooms. And what about the students there? They engage in many international exams like the EdExcel, like the London O-Level. What do? Just sit back home and do nothing? UGC, we have a proper answer to this. Bring in private universities. UGC has accepted many foreign university degrees. Why don't we bring the private universities here, bringing in a lot of courses here? We will be able to retain the students within the country, and maybe we'll be able to attract foreign students as well because of the low cost of living, because we can provide courses at a very low cost, and because of the quality of Sri Lankan education, my dear friends. And let's think about this. Let's get a bit funny. Like in abroad, it's the students who decides what the university should be, what the course they should follow, whereas here is the university who decides what the students should follow and the thing. So let's not be thinkers, let's be thinkers, my dear friend. So we as propositions come up with the idea that private universities and state universities can go hand in hand, leading us to a very bright future. We can get a lot of private investments coming into the country, numerous number of profits into the country, and hence we can develop the state's economy as well. So what we think is that private universities definitely should be established in Sri Lanka with the coexistence of the state universities, my dear friends. Thank you.
All 4 rounds have been completed. It was a closely contested debate, and it would be correct to say that the debate has taken a much more mature approach towards the debate. The research was done, and I believe that there was a certain amount of tension between the two teams. However, the research was done, it was entertaining, and I believe that both the teams did justice to the topic. However, before we move on to find out which team was able to proceed towards the grand finale and which team will end its journey within the debater, we're ready to move on to the judges' comments. Start off with Professor Pradhiba Mahana Maheva.
Judge many debates in school levels. This was a very keen context and very close competition. But I have to say a few words when teams concerned in their future competitions. Number one, both teams, they have done a thorough research. But according to my opinion, it must be a teamwork. If it is a teamwork, every member must perform. If one member performing well, if the other member is not performing, then it is not supporting for the team. So the teams must be in a balanced level, and also every member, you have to show your standard skills to come up for the higher standard. And the other one, certain areas I have to mention with regard to the topic. Education is a social right, which is guaranteed in the 1948 United Nations, that is Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So this is where government has an obligation. The government obligation is basically to give the accessibility for education. So that the government has a lot of responsibilities, and no one mentioned about the UNESCO and other declaration in both teams. And the other one talk about USA. Many USA universities are private universities, but that the other counter argument did not mention by both sides. And when you are coming up with a fact, it must be clearly checked 2 times whether you are revealing the correct fact. Some facts were there with regard to a private medical college in Sri Lanka, but certain facts were not correct, so you have to be very careful when you are giving facts like that. And the other thing, if you see Australia, now there are certain universities, full private universities are there, but they have a scheme of loan. That is where after finishing your studies, when you are starting a job, partly you can pay. So therefore, private education, private universities are there in most of the countries. So you have to concern most of the time. Good strategy used by both parties. And team performance, once again I have to tell, you must see every member must come to that standard and skill that will give you a giving stand. So actually both teams contested very well. So I'll give all my encouragement for both teams in future. Thank you.
Very impressed by both teams, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate both teams on their efforts, regardless of who wins. It was very refreshing to see the passion and the commitment with which they put their arguments and counter-arguments forward. And I do endorse what Professor Pratibha said about facts, but overall I was very impressed, and congratulations to both teams.
Whilst congratulating both teams on an excellent performance, now the challenge in a debate is why the speaker not only needs to speak on his or her points, but also counter-argue on the points put across by the other team. Now, these skills were displayed by both teams, but like Professor Pratibha mentioned, a little more team effort would have made the debate very purposeful. Also, adding one more aspect, speaking on the communication side of skills, both teams had excellent communication skills, but again, the balance of good communication skills among all team members will ensure that the team is right at the top. So, whilst both teams did very well, it had been a close fight, but in a debate, you need to decide on a winner. So, let's wait for the verdict.
I'm very much satisfied. I'm sure from a corporate world point of view, corporate world will be ready to recruit all 8 of them. They did very well. And as far as recruitment, corporate recruitment is concerned, they look at communication skill a lot. So in that sense, they did very well. In addition to communication skill, they also look at attitude and teamwork. So as the other judges clearly mentioned here, all the judges mentioned here that the teamwork or team balance has to be looked into for you to win the battle, and that's important. For communication skill, just for me to tell you that what corporate world looks at, it's slight adjustment that are required from debating angle, just to educate you what they will look at. I'm sure that I fully understand it's you cannot be practicing this today because you are in a debate, but what corporate will look at is negotiation skills, influencing skills, ability to convince, and also to be involved in a productive dialogue. I know it's a debate, so you cannot do all this, but with all what talent should you all showed, I'm sure that you all go on to be good negotiators, good influencers, and also great corporate leaders. Well done.